Thank you so much for joining us here at Freedom Church Online. God is moving in incredible ways, and it's because of the generosity of people just like you that we are able to carry out the vision of reaching people far from God. Just go to freedomchurch.tv/giving and choose from the many options available to give at Freedom Church. Now, let's get ready to hear a life-changing message from God's Word.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you. Oh, yes, Freedom Church, Freedom Church. I love this place, man. It's hot. This place is awesome. Hey, can I just say, before I get started, I want to be serious for just a minute, because let me just tell you something about myself. I'm full of sarcasm, so you're going to get a lot of that today. But also, I'm sensitive. Those two things together are a beautiful combination that is kind of chaotic and a little high maintenance. My wife says amen. But before I get all there, I do have something to say about your pastor and my friend, Pastor JR. And I want you to understand, Pastor, you have had as much influence in my life as any person alive. And I would not be where I am today without you as my friend. You were with me closer as just about anybody in my life when I walked through the hardest time of my life. And I'll be forever grateful to you. You guys put it together for my friend, Pastor JR. So we can bring it back together. I will tell you this, though, being friends with Pastor JR, sometimes some unexpected things happen. You guys remember a few months ago, Pastor JR preached a message where he told a story about a swapping shop. Y'all remember that? Right? Y'all put your hands up so I can say, yeah, some of y'all remember. If you did not remember, I will tell you. Basically, he was riding through the city of Charlotte looking for a radio station, found one. On there was a swapping shop, which is basically a garage sale for bored people with more money than they know what to do with. You call in, you tell them what you have to sell, and you give them your phone number, and they call you and buy it. Sounds great, right? Well, it is great unless you're friends with this guy. He decides to call into the show and tell them that he's won the lottery, and he's selling everything he owns on the cheap. And then he tells them his name's Josh Bradley and gives them my phone number. Legitimate, that happened. I'll never forget the day that I get the phone call that says, hey, man, you still got that Ford F-150 for sale? I was like, bro, what is happening? He calls me like several hours later, and I can tell. He's like, hey man, what's going on? I was like, apparently I'm selling televisions and I've won the lottery. And that's the kind of friend you are. No, I'm gonna tell you something right now. When he said he's one of my best friends on the planet, he called me the other week and he goes, hey, bro, I gotta ask you something real important. I was like, oh God. I was like, okay, I'm sitting down, and like we're normally cutting up laughing. But he's like, I need to ask you something real important. Hold on, let me get Austin. I was like, oh, this is getting worse. He's in trouble, and he's called his one redneck friend. So he gets done asking me something ridiculous. And I was like, oh, thank God. He's like, dude, what did you think I was going to ask you? I was like, I thought you were going to tell me you killed a guy and you needed me to help you bury the body. And I was going to have to say yes. Like, he's on that list of ride or die where we're burying people together. Like, that's it. I don't know that I should have said that. You guys are recording this, right? Like, something bad's going to happen to one of our friends and the FBI is going to play this back. And I'll be like, yeah, well, you're definitely the guy. But let me tell you, that was something that I didn't expect. To carry some things that I didn't expect. Sometimes in life, you get some things you don't expect. Can I get an amen with that, right? Anybody ever been there? I'll give you an example. I've lost a lot of weight. I used to be real big. I mean, like real big. Like when you would see me, you'd be like, dang, that boy's big. You may have said that today, but hold up. It used to be worse, right? I've lost about 130 pounds. I've lost yep. Thank you. So what was I talking about? I got confused. I was I used to be really, really big, and I lost a lot of weight, and I had to get rid of my clothes. So I took all the clothes, put them in a bag, and I'm giving them away. So I found my friend who still needed them. That's all I'll say about that. And then he had a good personality, but it's terrible. This has gotten out of control. I went and I said, "Hey man, look! I got rid of these clothes. I know there's nothing wrong with them. I love wearing them. Some of my favorite clothes. I want you to take them to your house." He does. What I didn't realize was that my wife had also gotten rid of some clothes. He calls me a few hours later. He goes, "Josh, you say you wear these clothes?" "Yeah, man. It's some of my favorite, man." So it's just a little big. I just have been wearing some of this stuff recently. In fact, there's nothing wrong with them. I love wearing that stuff around all the time. See, what I didn't know was my wife we had both lost weight. My wife had also emptied out a lingerie drawer, filled that bag with the lingerie, and I give one of my buddies, one of my redneck deer hunting, four-wheel drive, mud slinging, Bible toting buddies, a bag full of women's lingerie that could potentially fit me. Yep, I'm going to tell you right now, he did not expect that, and neither did I. I'm going to tell you right now. But here's the thing, as we jump in today, sometimes as a follower of Jesus, you get what you don't expect in the Christian life. Anybody ever been there? And the difficulty is we start believing in this idea of Jesus, and then when we get him, we're like, that ain't what I thought he was really about. I thought it was a different kind of faith that we had coming, and then life happens. Anybody ever have life happen? And you go, "Oh, Jesus, where'd you go?" Yeah, sometimes we get what we don't expect. And you want to know what I think? I think that the reason that happens is we build a faith based on a Jesus that isn't real. Based on a Jesus that we made up. And based on stuff he didn't ever say. There's some stuff you think's in the Bible that's not in the Bible. For instance, Jesus never said that you should have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. That's written in an important document. I'm just not sure which one it is. I'm not your smartest friend, am I? Somebody here knows. You should tell some people. He never said that. Jesus never said that he wants you to be happy. Happy, happy, happy. That wasn't Jesus. That was Duck Dynasty. You got that mixed up. They got a beard, right? You mixed it up. You messed that up. You know what else he didn't say? He never said that he wouldn't give you more than you could handle. You made that up. Your grandma told you that. When she told you grandpa was looking at you through the windows of heaven. Heaven ain't got no windows. No. You made that up. Heaven may have a window. I'm not sure about that, but for today's purposes, it doesn't. You know, I'll tell you this. Jesus, I promise you he didn't say this. Jesus never said, if you're not first, you're last. That was Ricky Bobby. And I'm pretty sure it's trademarked, right? Ricky Bobby. Here's the deal. I think we believe some of these things about faith and our Christian walk and our life in Jesus. And then when we get Jesus, it's not what we expect. And so we live confused about that and frustrated and not understanding what to do, how to respond, where to go. Because when Jesus comes and the Jesus we get is not the Jesus we expect, his reality is very different than our expectations. There's a divide between those two things. And now we had this divide to deal with. Has anybody ever lived with that kind of divide in your life between what you thought faith was going to be and what actually you got, and you holding on to it and you're going, this ain't what I thought I was signing up for? I thought I was signing up for something different. I thought I was signing up for the Jesus with rainbows and ponies and Fruit Loops. And if you don't love Fruit Loops, check your heart. One time the disciples asked Jesus, "You hungry?" He says, "Nope, I got food you do not know about, Fruit Loops." I'm also not sure about that, but for today's purposes, that's what we're going with. Have you ever had to deal with the unexpected in your life? You know that moment to where you get that report you didn't think you were going to get? That family member leaves the planet and you didn't expect them to pass away so early? You know, where the thing that happens that you thought would never happen, the job you lost, the child that was sick, the baby that never came, and now you're left in a moment to where you have to figure that out. And you know what we do a lot of times in this religion that we have built? Here's how we respond. We respond with what I call a try harder, do better kind of faith. And you go, well, God didn't do for me what I thought he should do for me, so what do I do? What do I do? Things are bad, so try harder. So I got to pray more. You know what? I just haven't been bringing it. I got my A game to bring to faith, and I haven't been bringing my A game. I need to bring my A game. I'm going to wake up earlier. I'm going to get me an accountability partner. I'm going to go buy me a study Bible, and I'm going to try harder, do better. You know, I haven't been praying enough, and God just needs me to pray. My quiet time's been short, or I missed it. Oh, you missed it. You mean you missed your quiet time? Jesus is not happy today. So we got to get God back in line. It's like this creator, this powerful creator that came to know us as Jesus, that he's kind of this emotionally unstable individual, and he's dependent on us to make sure we do all the things that we're supposed to do, just so he doesn't get mad and zap us. Come on now. Y'all been living like this sometimes. Try harder, do better. And you think, I need to pray more. I need to work harder. I need to serve more. I need to give more. You actually do need to give more. There's a few ways you can give. You can go to freedomchurch.tv, because if you don't give, God will be mad at you and you're a God robber. It's the only thing that's required of you in your faith. If you want to get to heaven, give. That's the message, Pastor JR. Did I say it right, Pastor? I got it. So you thought like there's this faith, and if you can write a big enough check, then he'll write it back to you. And you think, well, if I do things the way I think like they should be, then it's like this. It's like, here's how it's supposed to work. I do what I'm supposed to do, and he does what he's supposed to do. Right? More good behavior plus less bad behavior equals happy, happy, happy. That's not faith. That's a TV show. That's not what Jesus promised you. Listen, that's what you expected maybe. Maybe that's the Jesus you heard about, but that's not what you get. And then a lot of times you can wonder, what did I do wrong? Is he mad at me? Do you see what I did? Do you see what I looked at on my phone, guys? Do you see what I saw on my computer screen? Do you see that? Now he's just punishing me because he made this happen. He didn't rescue me from the middle of my storm. We can live like that, but I'm going to tell you the question I'm asking. It's probably the question you're asking. Is, does he really care? You ever wondered that? Come on, you can get real with me. You ever been in the middle of something and you wondered? Maybe you were afraid to say it out loud. I wonder if he cares, because it's easy to think he cares about pastors, right? Because, I mean, there's this idea of pastors, we just sit around in huddles singing Kumbaya all night long. Which we did that last night. It was awesome. Just kidding. I can't sing. Jesus confuses us with a lot of things that he does. And if your expectations never get aligned with reality, you're living on a faith that's not real. and it will never, ever sustain you. Jesus has been confusing people for as long as we can remember. He never does what you think he's going to do. If y'all read the Bible, it's hysterical. Today we're in Mark chapter 4. I'll throw the verses up on the screen. Jesus is in the middle of a bad situation, right? He's out on a boat. He's been teaching all day. He's done with people for the day. Anybody ever been done with people? Amen. Jesus, take the wheel, drive me across the ocean. Let's get out of here. It's time to roll. Love y'all. Got to go. Right? That's what's happening. Jesus has been teaching. And let me tell you, people gather up when Jesus teaches. Why? Why? He's a smart dude. He's also says some crazy stuff. We're going to talk about one of those crazy questions. Pick up with me in Mark chapter 4. On that day, and the evening had come, he told them, let's cross over to the other side of the sea, right? Jesus is getting out of there. It's time to go. Verse 36, so they left the crowd and took him along since he was in the boat. Y'all understand what's happened, right? Jesus is in the boat. He's teaching from the boat. People have gathered up on the hillside looking. Jesus saying crazy stuff. And other boats were with them, it says in verse 37. A great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking over the boat so that the boat was already being swamped. Jesus is in a bad situation. It's like tornado hunters, first century style, some bad stuff going down. Are y'all with me in the moment? You ever been in a bad storm before? I mean a bad one. One where you start confessing stuff to people. I just need to let you know. There's some stuff I need to get off my chest before I got to go to be with Jesus. But before I do that, here's some things I need to say. Right, you've been in some bad situations. One time I was fishing with my boys off the coast of South Carolina. We were in Georgetown. This guy took us fishing, didn't check the weather, note to self, and got out there. Terrible storm comes up. I mean, terrible. We beached the boat. I'm on private property at the Georgetown Lighthouse. Dadgummit, this is being recorded. I'm private property nowhere near the Georgetown Lighthouse, not even close to that, because you can't go on that property without fear of like prosecution. Persecution is a different thing. So we get out, we're seeking shelter, and let me just tell you something. I've been telling my boys my whole life that I'm a ninja. Ask them, what's going on with your dad? I don't know, but he's a ninja. In fact, my 11-year-old son in the 5th grade this year, his teacher asked him to write something down interesting about his family. You know what he wrote down? My daddy is a ninja. So my boys have expectations of me, but what they got is not what they expected, because they were like, son, Dad, it's time to deliver on your promise. You need some ninja skills, and I got nothing. But just standing there, I was like, God gave me a large body. Hide underneath it, boys. It's time to go. Like that was my skills. That's where Jesus is in a bad situation. You've been there before. Right? What do you think when you're in a bad situation? How did he let this happen? Come on now. You ever been there? And you ask the question, how did he let this happen? Have you ever thought, I did not expect this? Some of y'all got a phone call this week, and you know what you thought? I didn't expect that. And in that moment, you wonder, based on the Jesus you heard about, if he let this happen, how does he love me? Here's what happens in the middle of the storm. Verse 38. Verse 37. A great windstorm. No, verse 38. Hey, y'all calm down. That was just a trick to see if you're following along. Verse 38. He was in the stern, sleeping on a cushion. For those of you who are rednecks like me, that's the back of the boat. That's the back. I looked it up. That's what it told me. So they woke him up and said to him, Teacher, don't you care that we're going to die, right? You've been in the moment to where you've asked yourself, do you really care? Things are going bad. Things are difficult. I wonder if he knows that I'm going to die. They're going to die. It's going to die. Where are you at, Jesus? This is what I doubled down on for my life. You said this is who you are. It didn't turn out to be who you are. Jesus then does this in verse 39. He got up, rebuked the wind, and said to the sea, silence, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. Now, the sea is powerful. In fact, there might not be a lot of things that are consistent between the first century and right now, but this is one of them. You've got a hurricane-type situation that has occurred, mainly because they're on the Sea of Galilee, and it's surrounded by these huge mountains, and literally the elevation changes by like almost 10,000 feet. And these storms come in. That's what's happening right now. The sea is powerful. Think about the hurricanes that will come this September. Right now, we have more technology and more power than we ever thought we would ever need. And guess what? We can do nothing but sit back and watch the devastation come. And what does Jesus do in that moment? He talks to the storm like it's a child. Sit down and shut up. I didn't expect Jesus to do that, right? Sit down and stay down. Now, let me just tell you something. I ain't Jesus. I don't know if y'all picked up on that. I got 4 kids, the youngest of which is a hurricane. Am I lying, Devin? Yeah. Jesus, take the wheel. At least 45 times a day, you know what I say? Sit down, shut up. I got about a 10% success rate on that. And she's 4. I got no control. And Jesus comes in, and here he comes in, and he exercises the power that only God could exercise. And it's not like what you think. See, a lot of times what we think, you'll see people use power like that. And what do? They use it in somebody's name, right? And he comes along and he says, I'm not someone who has power. I am power. He doesn't show up on the scene like He-Man. Y'all know He-Man? Come on, y'all some old people in here. Y'all know He-Man? I used to love that show. Golly. He-Man would come on, he'd be like, by the power of Castle Grayskull. That skull would go up, I'd rip my little fat boy shirt off. Woo! Right? The power of Castle. I used to love that, right? Jesus didn't show up and say by this person's power or that person's power. He showed up asleep in the boat. They woke him up and he speaks to the storm like a child. What was he doing? He was proving that he was exactly who he said he was. God himself. He was the power. He goes on to say in verse 40, Jesus surprises us again. Then he said to them, why are you so afraid? Do you still have no faith? That's a crazy question. I mean, have y'all read the Bible much? That's a crazy question. Why? Because, wait a minute. The Jesus we heard about and the one they told us about said that anytime anything bad happens, what are we supposed to do? Come on now, I need answers here. I told you I was sensitive. What are we supposed to do when bad stuff happens? Pray. Rescue me. Make it go away. And in the middle of a situation where the disciples did exactly what they expected to do, they got what they didn't expect, which is a rebuke from Jesus. It's a crazy, crazy question. Why are you so afraid? I mean, I don't know. I'll be like, Jesus, is a hurricane. When bad stuff happens, we need to take our horses to the Old Town Road and get out of here like it's time. I don't know. We need to figure out whether that worked. I don't know if it did. I don't think it fit. We do what we've been trained to do. They do what they've been trained to do. And then Jesus gives them something they never expected, a rebuke. Don't you have any faith? You have to shake your head and go, wait, what am I missing about this, right? Because how it works is I do what I'm supposed to do, and then Jesus does what he's supposed to do. That's the way it works, right? It's an equation. And Jesus gives us something we didn't expect. It goes on to say in verse 41, and they were terrified. Hold on. And they were terrified. Are you tracking? There wasn't a hurricane happening when they were terrified. Jesus had already told it to chill out, take a breather, a Valium, settle up, like you're going to be okay. Be still and stay still. And then they come back and say to Jesus, they were terrified, and they ask one another, who is this guy? Where even the winds and the waves and the sea obey him. You know, I thought a lot about this. Why was it that they were so afraid in the storm? Then Jesus does exactly what he asked them to do, what they asked him to do. And then their fear didn't go away. What did it do? It increased. Why? Have you ever wondered why? Why did Jesus say what he said? Why did they respond the way it did? Here's the deal. The storm was powerful and out of control and raging with devastation. And Jesus is powerful and out of control. See, that's a similarity in those two things. The storm's out of control. Jesus is out of control. But what's the difference? The storms in this life and that they were experiencing is raging with fear and devastation and anxiety and death. And the storm of Jesus is raging with love and grace and mercy towards you. You can't trust the storm, but you can trust Jesus. But you can't control either one of them. There's the tension you're living in. There's the tension. How do you survive that? You know, I don't like to be out of control. I don't like situations that I get in where I can't figure it out. How many of you would admit that? Some of y'all are some control freaks. I can see it. I don't like that. I like to have a plan, figure it out, and this is what we're going to do. But let me tell you something. Most of the growth in my Christian life has happened by me figuring out that I can do nothing but trust him. See, here's what I've learned, and here's what I think this text is teaching us. That it's not about getting away from what we're afraid of, right? Here's the storm, here's the difficulty, here's the situation. I need out. Fix it, Jesus. Make it better, Jesus. It's not about that. It's about running to the person who loves you. You see, the storm don't love you, and you want away from the storm. But a lot of times we miss the fact that what we need more than being away from the storm is being next to Jesus. He's in the back of the boat. What should they have done? Grabbed up a cushion and laid down. It's nap time with Jesus. He knew the storm was coming. You're not educating God to your problems when they happen in your life. We're sitting back going, man, he must be busy. Have you seen CNN today? Are you reading Twitter? Guy's got some work to do. There's some bombs going off in some places. I better let him know that my taxes are due on my truck. Right? I don't know where that's coming from. I better let him know what the doctor told me. I better let him know what my wayward child has gotten into after they've left home for the 1,000th time on some kind of drugs, difficulty in life. He needs to know so he can rescue me. And what is he saying? He's saying, run to me. Trust him. Faith in Jesus is not just trusting that you're going to be okay. It is more than you being okay. It is trusting that he loves you regardless whether he rescues you or not. Because some of you are walking through something and you're wondering what you've done wrong or why he doesn't love you. And what I'm here to tell you, he's with you in the storm, but he's just a lot more chill than you are. I mean, everybody's got a story. For me, it was 2004. One of my best friends in life convinced me to move to Memphis, Tennessee with him. It was Pastor JR. I don't know why I went. I mean, it was a time in my life I wanted to get into ministry, and we were going out there to do ministry together, and I moved my whole family out there, which was me and Renee. We've been married since 97, so I'm not good at math, that period of time. How many years was that? 7, 8 years, 9, whatever, 17 years. We tried to have children that whole time. And it just didn't work out. I mean, I was trying my best. You're going to be a failure or something, right? Woo-hoo. Come on. Happy Father's Day. Never worked out. I mean, we're out there living just down the road from these guys in Memphis, working in ministry, some of the best days of our life. I wish I had time to tell you every story and every moment. I see Star and Jack over here, just remembering those times, just amazing and their influence. But we were poor, right? Super poor. I mean, buying bologna at Kroger and happy about it poor, right? That we talking about last night, Devin. We didn't even know how poor. We didn't even know what we didn't have. We was super poor. And you know, we tried to have children and it didn't work out. And Renee and I just kind of settled out like God's probably going to have adoption for us in our future. And we're working in student ministry, and we meet this young mom who was 18 and pregnant. And she decides over Devin and one of her friends introduced us. She decides over a weekend, man, I want you guys to adopt our baby. And we were ecstatic. It was unbelievable. We couldn't believe it. Like 8 years of hoping and praying. We're working hard for the Lord. He's going to deliver on this promise. So we went to the hospital one morning in November. It was cold. About 4:30, all of us got there. It's crazy. They were going to do C-section, and things got really crazy during the day. And I was really concerned. We were all very concerned. And finally they said, hey, no problem. We're going to go in for surgery. Renee got to go in with the mom and be there in that moment. And I thank God they didn't invite me into that. And he's born November 28, 2005. And we're waiting around, right? Me, Pastor JR, Devin, Todd, and Joni are all sitting in a little room. We have been looking at him through a window, and we're waiting for them to bring him back to the room. And he never came. Joni, you guys know Joni. I don't know if she's in here. She just did a Joni kind of thing. She's like, I'm going to find this baby, right? I was like, oh, all right, just let me know what happens. She comes back, and the look on her face, I will never, ever forget. She said, I passed him in the hall. They were taking him to the NICU. He's in respiratory distress. In that moment, all of our hopes and our dreams began to crumble. Go downstairs. Over the period of the next 2 weeks, we found out that Dawson, what was his name? Dawson was born with a genetic disorder known as trisomy 18. Some of you, your eyebrows went up, you've heard of it. Reason a lot of you hadn't heard of it, kids with that don't live. Life expectancy for a child is 10% will make it to birth, and out of that 10%, only 10% of them will see their first birthday. So the news wasn't it's going to be hard. The news is get ready for a funeral. Now, we had been sitting around together for months, dreaming about planting a church together. this church, now my life changes drastically. I should have been here. I mean, that was the hope. That was the prayer. I remember we walked out into the hallway. Renee, my wife, the doctors had just communicated this news to us, and she collapsed in my arms. They got us into this little room, and I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. I was in that moment like a lot of you've been in, to where I'm going, God, this isn't how it should be. And you don't know what we did? Like, we don't get everything right. I mean, do we? We mess up all the time. I think we got this moment right. We sang. We sang together through our tears and our fears and our devastation. We worshiped the Lord. To the best of our ability in that one moment, you know what we did? We went and sat down beside him and rested. We sang, He knows my name. He knows my every thought. And He sees us. Can I tell you something? You know something? He sees you. In your storm, He sees you. Don't worry whether or not through this life and your devastation, whether or not He sees you. He sees you. And you know what He's saying to you? I'm with you. I will never leave you. I will never abandon you. I'm not the Jesus you expected, but I'm the Jesus you got. And guess what? We prayed and prayed and prayed. God, give us some time. Extend His days. This was the situation that we were dealing with. Broken, not knowing how many days. He's weeks old in this picture. And guess what happened? He kept on living. He kept on living. That was 2006. That was Howard's Rock. Go Tigers. Come on now. He kept on living. And he kept on living. And just a few months ago, we took this picture. I love that one. We took this picture on vacation, and he'll be 14 in November this year. And he's sitting right here on the front row. Dawson, my heart today is full on Father's Day. You've given me the gift of being able to be a dad. And bro, you're not what I expected. But you're what I got, and I'm what you got. And Jesus is with us. I love you with everything that is within me. Let me tell you something. Life is hard. We have a van out there that all of you could fit in. Life is hard, but He's with us. And I'm telling you right now, I don't know what you're going through or what you've been through. Some of you might not even have a relationship with God or Jesus at all. And you're here considering whether or not you can trust Him. You can listen to me today on Father's Day and know that the deepest pain in my life has been the greatest area of growth in my life, where God took everything out of my control, giving me only Him. It wasn't my choice. It wasn't what I expected, but it's what I got. And today, you can have Him too. You guys pray with me. If you're here this morning and that's a Jesus you want to trust, and you want to begin and have that relationship with Him, I want to ask you right now in this moment, I want to ask you to do something with me. I'm going to ask you to trust Him. Trust Him. I'm begging you today to trust Him. You're holding out thinking that you just wonder whether or not He cares for you, but I'm begging you to trust Him. Trust Him. You can trust Him. He's with you. He is right there next to you. Sit down with Him. And how you're going to do that now is just pray with me. And you're going to pray this prayer. Pray it right there in the silence of your own mind. Say this: God, I know I can't do it without you. I'm sinful and I'm broken and I've made every wrong choice in my life you could make. But today, I want to trust you for the very first time. Change my life. Give me every single thing I need to follow you. If you prayed that prayer with me, say amen. And here's what I want you to do. Look at me right now. Everybody pull out your phones. Every single person in here, pull out your phones. And if that was you right now in this moment, I want you to text your first and last name to the number that you see on the screen. Some of you need to take this time and send this text right now. Why? Because it wasn't the Jesus that you expected, but He's the Jesus that we got. Father, we love you. We are thankful for your provision. It's greater than any need we could ever have. And in these moments together, we confess that we need you and we trust you. In Jesus' great and mighty and wonderful name I pray.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We are grateful to have you as part of our online family right here at Freedom Church. I know you want to be obedient in the area of generosity, so what I would love for you to do is go to freedomchurch.tv/giving. It'll give you all the different options and all the different ways that you can give. Just know this: I love you, I'm proud of you, and I cannot wait to see you soon. Y'all have a great week.